It's the Retro Philosophy Show. You know, let's go.
It's the Retro Philosophy Show. Go on and tell everybody you know. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Lottie Dottie. And I'm in the building hanging out with Retro. Keep it locked. Don't you dare put that down.
Motivation is the activation that keeps you going between your imagination so you can arrive at your destination in spite of what you go through without any explanation.
Wow.
You just keep on going. You never let it turn you around. You will never allow it to stop you.
Yeah.
So you're a philosopher? Yes.
Good evening, good morning, good night, good day. It's your boy Retro. Thank you for pressing play.
Come on, somebody lift up a shout to the Lord.
So you're a philosopher? Yes. I think very deeply.
I need just a little more Jesus.
Sheldon, start up the mic then! We start up the mic them now! Sheldon, start up the mic then! We are gonna crank up the mic them now!
So you're a philosopher? Yes. I think very deeply. Yes. I think very deeply. I think very deeply.
Yes, indeed. What's up, everybody?
Let's go. Let's go.
On
the Retro
It's
Philosophy
Show.
Let's go. Tell them already we're good. Tell them again. Tell them already we're good.
Has
Tell
just
them
been
again.
that
Them
good.
conquerors.
Been that good.
We're more than
With-
conquerors.
So I want to say
Wow. Tell them conquer. Tell
for today. My goal today is for you to be in fact. Now, check it out. Now, we're gonna talk about it here in a little bit. Do we stop or do we keep going? We're gonna also talk about riding year round. Okay, that's really what we hopped on here to talk about because your boy got it saying. The weather does not dictate whether or not we ride, but only the gear we wear when we ride. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that on this morning. This telephone number is scrolling at the bottom of the screen: 980-222-4492. That's the number. And we would love for you to tune in and actually chime in. I should say we would love for you to chime in and share with us your take on riding year round. Now I get it. Shout out to my folk further up north and Midwest where it gets extremely cold. We are blessed here in the Carolinas to have weather that will permit us to ride year round. For the most part, today is brutally cold. As it was yesterday. I don't know if I can really say brutally cold, but it's certainly cold today. and I'm not feeling 100%, if you will. But it is what it is. We're still gonna hop on old Ruby Red and make it do what it do. Coming next year, now there have been some days this year where I didn't ride, for whatever reason, choice, weather conditions, or whatever. Now, mind you, I just told you that weather does not dictate whether or not we ride, but the gear we wear when we ride. But safety first and first safety, okay? And there are days where weather is a deciding factor as to the choice that I make. And what I mean by that is it's cold, I'm not feeling good, so it's not that I can't ride, but I choose not to ride. And it's not solely based on the weather itself, but a combination of things, okay? Many times if I've got to be somewhere, and I don't want to weather the storm or weather the deal with the weather, then, I'll just hop in the ride or whatever, something like that. But ultimately, if I decide I'm going to ride today, doesn't matter what it's doing outside. We try to have the gear to be able to do it. So anyway, we are blessed here in the Carolinas to have weather that will, pretty much permit us to ride year round. Now, next year, 2024, first and foremost, stay tuned, because we will be sharing with you the Genesis Ride. Now, Genesis Ride is something that we, and when I say we, Cam Fam, and when I say Cam Fam, I'm referencing Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry. So the CAM, KAMM, is an acronym for Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry, okay? So if you hear me say Cam Fam, that's what I'm talking about, the motorcycle ministry. All right, so we do a ride every year, January 1, first day of the new year, and we ride. The ride typically lasts about maybe 45 minutes to an hour. It's not meant to be a long, strenuous ride. It's a ride to just get you out the beginning of the year, start the new year off on your motorcycle, on your school, on your iron. And I see my boy Big Selge going live right now. It's too cold to ride. We're gonna have to check that out as well. But is it ever too cold to ride? I mean, is it really? You know what the truth of the matter is? Yeah, there are some days where it is too cold, because here's the deal. Yesterday I got up about 9ish, somewhere around there, maybe a little earlier. By the time I hit the road, it was right about 9 o'clock, and I plugged up. And ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, guess what? It's just a matter of time until the wind makes it through. I made the rookie mistake. It was really not a mistake. It was an oversight, because I had my leather pants out, folded up right there by my jacket. Excuse me for that. And I had every intention of that, because it's not so much for the heat or stay warm. I had to get. But the leather pants, they will keep back wind. You're gonna be riding for hours. Then I'm saying it just comes a time where you just got to call it quits. All the gear in the world, just check it out. Mother Nature is undefeated. Mother Nature is undefeated. And so even when you get out there with all your gear, please understand it's just an attempt to prolong your riding a little bit, okay? Ultimately, Mother Nature is going to win, and you're going to have to stop and just warm up, okay? But we here in the Carolinas, we are blessed to ride year round. So anyway, the Genesis Ride, we want you guys to stay tuned for that. We'll be for that. There is no registration fee or anything like that. All you got to do is just show up once the the meetup spot is announced or shared or what have you, and just show up, man. And we, like I said, we ride for about 45 minutes to an hour. It's usually a ride that will involve some nice curves and decent little enjoyment, and then we end at a restaurant. Okay, so we'll be sharing that information. We're still hashing it out. Me and Lowrider and a couple of the team members will go ride the ride. Lowrider, our VP, he finds the route every year, and then we'll normally ride the route that he finds. That way we can all have an idea. I shouldn't say all, but certainly me, our road captain, and the VP will ride the route So that way, if they're okay, case in point, last year the route that Lowrider picked, it was a great route. It took us through some country and some curves, and then it led us to the restaurant. But there was some construction that had begun to take place on that route that wasn't there when he initially found the route or initially, scouted the route or what have. Because we took and rode the route, I think we must have did it. I don't know, a couple days before the actual ride. Me, Lowrider, and Black Ops, we rode it, so we were able to see, that it was there and so on and so forth. So when we got the whole group together, we knew exactly what part of the route to warn them about certain hazards and so on and so forth. Um, so we'll ride the route and then we'll put it out there. So stay tuned for that flyer. 2024, I'm going to do something, and this is just for me. As you can see, I'm just a little weird like that, or whatever, whatever you want to call it. Call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for supper. I mean, anything else will be uncivilized. But you'll notice that we're doing the Cam Fam NC4, which are the four corners of North Carolina. We are also doing the the GA4, which four corners of Georgia. We'll be doing that this month. Date to be announced here soon. But come 2024, I'm going to do I don't know if it's a hashtag initiative or what, but it's just for me personally. And if you want to get on board, then that's great. Get on board as well. Uh, but it's just Ride 365. Yeah, Ride 365. Every day of the year, I'll be on my motorcycle. There are some people who view their motorcycle differently. Um, I was gonna say I ain't gonna go there. Y'all might look at me differently. I don't wanna. I don't want. So anyway, there are some people that look at their motorcycle differently. Their motorcycle is simply just to go, to their destination. They get on it maybe three, four, five, six, seven times. I don't know how many times, but they get on it when it's time to go yonder, as we would say, or go on a long trip or whatever. And I'm just not that guy. I'm gonna ride my motorcycle every single day. Uh, I don't know. There's just like I don't really want to say a oneness and sound corny, but it's just something about me on my motorcycle, or I should say me on a motorcycle, that I just thoroughly enjoy. And the more I enjoy it, the more I enjoy enjoying it. It does something for me. I get something out of it that it brings. I'm not going to say freedom. It does bring a level of liberty. Certainly a enjoyment. But there's also a piece to it. I can get on my motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen, and it's like an office. And God and I, we have conversations when I'm on that motorcycle. When I'm on that motorcycle, I'm this big, because I understand at any moment something could happen that would be or could be out of my control. So it's a humbling experience. And I think some people, when they get on there, I'm probably going to get in trouble trying to speak for people, but it is what it is. Some people get on their motorcycle and they feel invincible. That's dangerous. I've seen people. I saw a video, as a matter of fact, and where a gentleman was on his motorcycle, and he gets into it with somebody in a cage, somebody in a car. I don't know if they bad drove him or I don't know what caused it, but he's there and they're at a stoplight, and he's fussing at the guy, and he's trying to hit the guy's windshield or whatever. And the guy just simply turns his steering wheel and boom, run him in the motorcycle plumb over. I say that to say this. You on two wheels will never win a fight against a car with four wheels. Don't let your motorcycle make you feel as though you are invincible. Don't let that cut on your back make you think you can't get cut. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's just a piece of fabric, with a bunch of thread and stuff that made a cool design. And I don't care, how bad you are. You're not going to want to fight with a car, because if they decide to run you over, they're going to run you over. And so anyway, what I'm simply saying is, when I'm on my motorcycle, it humbles me. Um, I'm not saying there aren't things that don't happen that could potentially anger me, because when you're just the other day, I was live when it happened, and I don't remember if it was a guy or a girl, but they just came right over into my lane. It happens all the time. You just have to be proactive. You have to be vigilant. You have to be aware, and you have to pay attention. A lot of times these people, they'll tell you when they get ready to do something dumb. For the most part, you ride down the road and you see people. They're on their phones, they're texting, sexting, and who knows what else. They're just doing all kind of things. And if you're not vigilant, if you're not aware, then you could potentially end up in their, in their, in the wake of destruction. Real talk. So in this thing called life, we don't stop. We keep going. Okay. Now you must proceed with caution. I'll say that one more time, just in case somebody was in the back and it was noisy back there. And let me see if I can do it this way here, ladies and gentlemen. We must proceed with caution. Okay, all right. So we're not going to stop. Michael Jackson, one of the greatest entertainers that a stage has ever seen. Michael Jackson, from knee high on up, the man was just bad. But he used to tell us years ago, "Don't stop till you get enough. Don't stop." And some of us were stopping and we haven't even gotten enough. Don't stop. I just wanted to get on this morning to encourage you and tell you, don't stop. If you don't feel complete, don't stop. You say, "Well, you don't understand, Bro Retro. All this is going to." Okay, I get it. I hear you. I hear you. Proceed, but proceed with caution. Let's look at David, right? And I'm sorry for quoting the Bible. Sorry, not sorry. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Did I give you my disclaimer already? I may have overlooked to do so. Please forgive me, Lord, because I will sing it. I will shout it since Jesus made me whole. Come on, somebody. And so, David, King David, he has a situation where, they're out fighting a battle. They come back and the place where they were living at, Ziklag, if my memory serves me correctly, had been besieged by the enemy. Okay, their wives, their children had been taken, their cattle had been taken, and the city was burnt on fire, was set ablaze, right? And so now the men that are following David, you got to watch out for folks, man, because they'll switch on you in a heartbeat. Them fair weather friends. And so anyway, the Bible tells us that the men. These are the men that were rejected by King Saul. They had nothing. They come to David, broke, busted, and disgusted, and said, "David, lead us. David, be our king. David." And so David, okay, so he obliges them, right? And so now, because they're having a bad day. Look here, every day ain't gonna be a great day. I had a bad day. I shouldn't say a bad day, but I had a rough day Monday. And today is a good day. I've been dealing with a headache since I woke up, but I'm pressing my way. Yeah, press my way through. Press my way through. Okay, all right. I know. I'm not the best singer. So anyway, they now all of a sudden they're thinking. The Bible says they spake or they spoke about stoning David. Them, I was gonna say Nicholas, but I might not be able to say that on YouTube. Them folk said, "We gonna stone our king." Good morning, Minister Evans. God bless you. God bless you. She says, "Good morning to everybody." This woman here has been on fire for Jesus. I've been looking at her post these past 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. And she must have been in the upper room. She must have had some time with the Lord. She must have had an awakening. She must have had an epiphany. She done had something, and it wasn't Wheaties, but she done had something. Because when I tell you this woman has been on fire for God, she says, right, people will switch on. She said, right, people will switch on you real quickly. Yeah, they sure enough will. They sure enough will. They'll switch on you real quick. But I read something that this woman of God posted on yesterday, and I looked at my wife and I said, "Good googly woogly, that right there is deep." And it was something, and I may mess it up, so correct me, Minister Evans, if I mess it up. But the gist of it was, you struggle with God's direction because you have a problem with God's timing. Oh my God, that'll make you shout right there, folks. I'm just saying. Oh my goodness, that right there, that's heavy, y'all. That's heavy, and it's true. We struggle with God's direction because we have a problem with His timing. We not only need to trust the Lord, but we need to learn to wait on the Lord. And I believe the psalmist said, and be of good courage, and he will strengthen thine heart. I didn't know I was going to get on here and preach, but you done pushed me, and now I got to preach. Goodness gracious. Lord have mercy. God has been speaking, and awakening is exactly what it is. And Minister Evans, this just me and you here. Ain't nobody else. It's just me and you. We just talking. He will do it sometimes, because sometimes we get lured, sometimes we drift, sometimes we get tricked, sometimes we get, look at it, sometimes we even get kidnapped. You look at it. I ain't sitting here like I'm perfect. I done been kidnapped by the devil. But I tell you what, he let me go. Did you guys, it went viral some time ago. Some kid got kidnapped or whatever, and they kept on singing Jesus songs, blood songs, I know it was the blood. That wasn't the exact song, but when I say blood songs, that's, it's songs referencing, the power in the blood of Jesus. And they let that joker go. hmm And so my point is, we see the enemy. He wants to kidnap every last one of us. But as Minister Evans said, she says an awakening is exactly what it is. And I need it. I need one as well. I get on here. I try to get on here every day. For some time, I had stopped because of different discouragement and different things that were coming in my direction and so on and so forth. And a lot of times, you're doing good. You're like, man, I ain't fazed by it. I'm a man of God. I got the Lord on my side. And yeah, you do. But sometimes the weight of the stuff that we encounter begins to add up. And we find ourselves sometimes not giving up, but giving out. Yeah. And here's the deal. As I said earlier, proceed with caution. You got to look at the attack and stop acting like you super saint, because it will take a toll. Now, we like to quote, the Bible said, I need somebody on an organ right now. The Bible said that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. But it never said it wouldn't be effective. Let me say that one more time. Let me say that one more time, because I see the look on your faces. The weapons that the enemy forms against us may not prosper, but God never said that they would not be effective. Case in point, they lied on you at work, and the purpose of them lying on you at work was because they wanted to get you fired. And so they go to the boss, they go to HR, human resources, they go to PETA, they go to OSHA, they go to they go to all the alphabets, and they tell a lie on you, right? And they were very strategic with the lie that they told. And so you come to work the next day, you don't know anything about the lies that's been told on you, and you're just happy. You come in whistling, I love the Lord, and I won't take it back. I love the Lord. I love the Lord, and I won't take it back. He has been so good to me, and you're just happy. You're just happy in Jesus, woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stayed on Jesus. You just feeling good like the child of God should. And you sit down at your desk in your cute little neat cubicle, and the boss comes over and says, get your stuff and get out. You fired. All because of the weapon that will not prosper. And now you're confused because you said, but Lord, I read in your word just last night. You showed it to me in bold letters, that Lord God, that no weapon would prosper. And he says, yes, and it still remains true, my daughter. It still remains true, my son. But you're so wrapped up in the fact that you got fired that you're not seeing the move of God. Let me show you how it was effective, but it will not prosper. In other words, hitherto and no further. That was the extent of it. I mean, just because you got fired doesn't mean that the weapon is prospering. Yes, it was effective. You lost your job. It hurt your feelings. It almost made you cuss. You almost went straight from praise to cuss. Almost. However, losing that job. You're packing your stuff and you hold back the tear, you get in your car and you let out one of them screams and shake the steering wheel. And then God says, I'll be with you always, even until the end of the world. Hey, good God from Zion. And all of a sudden something on the inside of you begins to, it gets to turning down in there deep, deep, deep down in my heart. I got the love of Jesus deep down in my, come on, let's go to church. Deep. Oh, come on now. And that thing gets to bubbling, it gets to turning, and all of a sudden, a part of you comes alive that was only existing prior. You see, you got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that the enemy has a job. Jesus would have never made it to the cross had it not been for a Judas. Stop looking at your enemies and your haters and as though they don't have an assignment. They have an assignment. Let them do their assignment and you stick to your assignment. So anyway, so you got fired, but what it did was it was effective, because you almost lost your mind, you almost lost your praise, you almost lost your testimony, but you learned a little something more about your God. Mm-hmm. And so you leave there and you stop by the awful Waffle House, or the Waffle House, I'm sorry, to get you some hash browns covered, scattered, and chunked. Yeah. And you sit down there and somebody else sits down in a booth next to you. And before you know it, you leave out of there with a greater opportunity than you could have ever even imagined. And so the enemy formulated a weapon that was effective, but it wasn't able to prosper. It came for the purpose of escalating you to another level. If, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, saints and ain'ts, everybody, especially you, Lottie Dottie, if you keep your cool, we just got to learn to keep going, but proceed with caution. I thought we were going to talk about motorcycles and cold gear and stuff like that. We'll let Big Cell do that. Let's talk about Jesus up in here on this, up in here on today. All right, because that's what I do. I mean, I talks about me some Jesus because I have experienced him for myself. I'm not talking to you about what the Bible says. I do, but I'm not. In other words, the conviction by which I speak has more to do with my personal experience with a God that sits high and looks low than it does with a script that I have read in the book. Now, don't get it twisted. There's power in his written word as well. I mean, like real talk. Don't underrate it. But what I'm saying is there must be a personal experience with the God that we serve in order for us to speak with conviction and with power. And it ain't always going to come from what he revealed to you in his word. There's been times when I've been in the word of God and he just revealed things to me that was so powerful. And the moment I tried to explain it to somebody, it sounded like Charlie Brown's mama. Wonk, 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 wonk. Because see, sometimes it's a personal revelation. It's a personal illumination, if you will. And in other words, sometimes God will give it to you for you. And when you try to share it, they won't get it because they're not where you are. Not as though you're on some higher level or anything like that, but the particular place where you are in life, they are not. Therefore, the revelation that you receive is not revelation for them. And so what we do in moments like that is we take it and we chew on it. We take it and we consider it. We take it and we guard it. I believe Solomon said, put it about thy neck and sell it not. And so I'm grateful for personal experiences with God. Now check this out. As great as Job was as a man, as an example, the Bible says that he eschewed evil. In other words, he stayed away from evil. He was an upright man. Okay. But the greatest testimony of Job was not that he stayed away from evil. The greatest testimony of Job, in my opinion, now y'all chime in. Now the numbers at the bottom of the screen, but the greatest, I feel the Holy Ghost. The greatest, y'all, I ain't playing. I feel the Holy Ghost up in here. The greatest testimony of Job is when he said, though, my God, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Whoo, let me calm down up in here, up in here, up in here. Though, though he slay me, yet will I trust. Have you gone through, have you any rivers that seem uncrossable? Oh my God. Whoo, my God. God, hear me good, church. God specializes in things that seem impossible. You just got to quiet yourself. Get to the place where you can receive revelation and illumination and just let God be God because he's trying to show you him on another level. Do we stop or do we keep going? By golly, you got to keep going. Let's get back to David. I got a little excited and get off track for a moment. Minister Evans, that's right. Everything isn't for everyone. Some things are just for you. You doggone skip it. Now you can take it and the residue, the residue, the overflow can be a blessing to others. The woman who met Jesus, she says that he said it's not meat to give the children's bread to dogs, and she said, "Yea, Lord." But even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. So my point is, sometimes the remnant, the overflow, the extra can be a blessing to somebody. You can't tell them everything, but you take what you have experienced with God and you let it cause you, you let it mold you, you let it make you into the person that he's calling you to be. And they're going to see the glory of God on your life. At that point, you ain't got to say nothing. My mama used to say, if you don't believe what I'm saying, watch what I do. I can show you better than I can tell you. I didn't like when she said that part. I'll show you better than I, because she would tell us, and we wasn't listening. And when she would say, I'll show you better than I can tell you, that meant it was about doggone whooping time, And so, but real talk, you've ever heard somebody say, I'd rather see a testimony than hear a testimony? That's it, folks. Sometimes we've got to get to the place where we are, experiencing time with God in such a way that it almost make you feel like you're crazy. Because you'd be like, Minister Evans, the Lord showed me such and she's sitting there looking at you. Now, it ain't that she don't believe God, but, it's just like, there's so many details that are absent from the story because, they weren't, you we often say you see the glory, but you don't know the story. You can never tell it the way it should be told because you're always going to leave something out. In other words, there's so many things that go into the processing, the processing of the glory that's going to be revealed in our life. That's why he said, you shall reap if you faint not, and so we have to have this kind of time with God, and sometimes we get it twisted, and we think that time with God is when we come together to the house of God and we have 3 poems and a prayer and no. Sometimes time with God. Let me put it this way: the most effective time with God is during your worst moments, because the Bible tells us that in our weakness, his strength is made perfect. Back to Job. His greatest testimony was, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. He would have never got to know God on the level that he knows God, or that another level that he got to know God from his good days. They were having, parties and get-togethers and I shouldn't say parties. They were having gatherings and festivities, and this is the richest man in the land. He was the man, 50 grand. Lost everything, including his children. And then lost the respect of his wife. Now, good God Almighty, that's rough. But he found God in a way and on a level that was just mind blowing. Yeah. He had conversations with God, man, that he would have never had during his good times. Facebook user, God bless you and thank you for pressing play. Even the dogs that eat the crumbs that fall from the table, but God is inviting us to sit at the table and eat with him. That's how great our God is. Yes, absolutely. And and that's a fact, Jack. He says the Bible tells us in the book of Revelations, "Behold, I stand." And Facebook user, I'm sorry, it just says Facebook user. So I'm not sure if you're watching from my personal page or what. I am streaming to a couple different platforms. I will tell you, it's much easier, and it seems to work seamlessly on YouTube. So if you have not already gone over to YouTube and subscribed to the Retro Philosophy Show, I beg of thee, I beseech of thee to please do so. Hit the notification bell as well. That way, when we go live, you'll get the notifications, and you can talk there, and it shows up the way it's supposed to and everything. But anyway, even the dogs eat the crumbs from the master. He says in the book of Revelation, he says, "Behold, I stand at the door and I knock." And if we open up, he will come in and he will sup with us. He will dine with us. He will fellowship with us. And so I agree. He is offering us a seat at the table. Yeah, he's offering us a seat at the table. And the problem is we are contending, we are jockeying, we are fighting, begging for seats at tables that God never wanted us to be at. Why stay where you are tolerated when you can be where you are celebrated? Why, I was going to say I don't get it, but I do get it, because once upon a time I was in the same place. You see tables, they're set really nice, so it seems, but when you pull off the covers off the table, you realize that it's a filthy table. Yeah, we didn't freeze. I just want to look in your orbital sockets for a moment and let that Selah moment sink in. We got to stop clamoring for tables that God never intended for us to sit at. And one of the ways we get there is when we understand not only who we are, but whose we are, and probably most importantly, whose we are. Okay, and then we begin to, when we understand whose we are, and we get to know who we are, we will then understand our value, our worth, our purpose, our destiny, our mandate, our mission, our assignment. Come on, somebody, our anoint, and the list goes on and on and on. You see, we just got to get to that place. Don't stop until you get what God has for you. So we go from motorcycle riding year round to just the goodness of God. And you know what? What's in a person will always come out. Just let them talk. Just let them talk. And I tend to talk a lot. And I also don't have a good memory. I'm like, real talk, which is why I choose not to lie. Because the last thing I'll need is to get caught in a lie. So I just tell the truth, because I couldn't remember. Some of y'all folk real good, man. I mean, y'all lie like a Persian rug. And but anyway, we didn't go down here to talk about the liars today. We did talk about the liars last night a little bit, as we were talking about the trying of the spirit. But anyway, so that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We do not stop. We keep it moving. We keep going, and sometimes, yes, you have to slow down. Sometimes, let's keep it real. Sometimes you have to stop. But stopping and quitting are two different things. Sometimes you have to stop and assess what's going on. You have to stop and, check out what's what and everything. But you're only stopping so that you can proceed safely, so that you can move on cautiously, Some of us, we try to keep going and it causes more damage. Sometimes you need to stop for a while. Stopping and giving up are not the same thing. Sometimes we need to stop and take a rest because we got a long journey ahead of us. You can go ahead and press through the night if you want to. But then when you finally do stop to get some sleep and wake up, you're not going to be refreshed. Sometimes you just got to stop early, call it a day. And that's not a bad call. Sometimes it's a good call. We were doing the Four Corners. Okay, the mirror thing is boom right there. Yeah, we were doing the Four Corners the other weekend, and our plan was to bed down in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. However, we chose as a team to stop in Kitty Hawk, Kill Devil's Hill, and we spent the night there. So we were able to stop earlier. We were able to, grab dinner together, laugh together, laugh at each other together, and then still get a good night's rest, and and got up in the morning fresh, and we carried on the trip, and sometimes you have to count up the cost. Do I want to stick to my guns and stay on schedule, or do I want to be refreshed? Because if you stick to your guns and stay on schedule, but you end up doing something exhausted, you're tired, you're exhausted. And when you're tired and exhausted, you're not firing on all cylinders like you should. So that can create a problem. Okay. So we don't stop, we keep going. But when I say we keep going, I'm not leaving out the option to slow down. I'm not leaving out the option to pause. Let's say that instead of stop. Pause for the cause. What's the cause? The cause is to regenerate. The cause is to reevaluate. The cause is to, reassess. Yeah. Because let's see here, from Charlotte to the Outer Banks, was, quite a few miles, and, things happen. In other words, what I'm trying to say, you started out one way, but by the time you get halfway to your destination, or halfway through your journey, sometimes you got to check some things. You got to even fix some things, tighten up some things, especially as it relates to these motorcycles, all that vibration and, because, shoot, I like to get on that thing and twist that throttle. And so there's a lot of vibration that goes on. And so from time to time, as a matter of fact, part of the scheduled services will call for retightening the bolts and things like that, And so when was the last time you rechecked the bolts in your life? I was going to Pennsylvania a couple months ago. I went up for it. Putting on the I don't know if I chipped out or not, but anyway, I was saying shout out to Cross Soldiers Motorcycle Ministry out of New Jersey. When I went to Pennsylvania a couple months ago, I went up there for the men's conference, the men's retreat that they were facilitating. Excellent meeting. I mean to tell you, they did a great job. Iron sharpeneth iron, folks. On my way up there, I was literally about 30 minutes. I think it was about a 9-10 hour ride for me, right? And I'm about 30 minutes, if that, from my destination. Okay. God bless you, brother. C1s has entered the building, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make some proper noise for him like we do here on the Record Block. That's a good brother right there, man. And he be riding that gold wing, man. He be riding. He got me thinking about getting a gold wing now. I mean, his gold wing clean. I mean, that thing clean, y'all. It's clean. I mean, his gold wing screams Cadillac of motorcycles. I mean to tell you. But anyway, he rode with us on a portion of the of the Four Corners as well. What was I saying, folks? Okay, so I'm literally less than 30 minutes from my destination, right? And and I happen to look in my mirror. Let me pause for the cause. We cannot go forward looking in the rearview mirror, but the rearview mirror is there for a purpose. Yeah. Sometimes you got to check your mirrors. Make sure nothing is getting too close to you. Make sure you just got they're there for a reason. Okay. The problem is when people are just constantly in it. That's dangerous. But anyway, I happen to look in my left mirror and notice that the fender on my trailer, because I pulled the trailer on that trip, was it was just boom, just doing that. I was like, oh, wait a minute, that thing ain't supposed to move like that. And so I could have continued to the next rest stop and address it then, and risk it falling off, causing more damage, So I made the decision to pull over on the side of the highway. It wasn't the safest decision, but I thought it the best decision. Sometimes you got to weigh your options and just, do what you got to do. So I pull over on the side of the road, and sure enough, it was loose as caboose. And there was one bolt that had come completely out. It's gone to this day. I've got to replace it, but I'm getting ready to overhaul the whole thing. So I'm going to just address everything at once. And then about 2 or 3 other ones was really loose. So now I got to pull out the tools on the side of the road and tightening that thing up, And how did it happen? It happened over time and vibration. That thing we drug it all the way down to Malibu. Well, actually, we didn't bring it to Malibu. We drug it to California. We left to Aurora, California. Left the trailer at my man's house, and then we drove the bike without the trailer on up to Malibu. But anyway, we did pull the trailer all the way to California, and I've taken it all over the place, man. I've taken it on countless trips, and never once did I go over it to check bolts that could have potentially come loose. Folks, we've got to check ourselves before we wreck our. If you go hard, as they say, go hard in the paint, then you've got to do these things. You know, I heard somebody say the other day, as it relates to motorcycling, their motorcycle is stay ready. And I was coming home last night, and I don't know if it's because it was just that cold. I really don't. I'm gonna check it here in a little bit. But as I begin to apply the front brakes, I heard a noise. Yeah, and I just put those brakes on before I went to Texas, and but I guess the way I ride, and pulling that trailer, so I might have gone through those pads. I think because I started hearing a little noise. So I'll check that here in a little bit. So with that said and done, ladies and gentlemen, are you paying attention to what's going on? I mean, are we really paying attention? You heard the sound. Investigate. Find out where it's coming from. It might be something, it might be nothing. But until you search it, you won't find out. And the last thing I want to do is go to hit my brakes and get nothing. Now we got it in Houston, we have a problem. So we've got to do what's necessary when we can and while we can. All right? Because if we don't address the things that are loose, things are going to mess around and start falling apart on us. And again, that's dangerous, and it's not good. It can be deadly. It can be deadly. And as it relates to us spiritually, experiencing spiritual death is tricky. And when I say it's tricky, because we still see people lifting hands and praising God, and we still see them showing up and performing their duties, but they're like zombies. They're dead men walking. The Bible tells us that our sins have separated us between our God. In other words, whenever there is sin, because the Bible even tells us when sin has its work, or in other words, when sin is completed, it brings forth death. And so we can die spiritual deaths while we're yet alive. The Bible talks about we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities, and it even goes on and says spiritual wickedness in high places. Yeah, it's because they never gave up the position. We have that in the Bible. We see that with King Saul. We find out, I forget what book it's in, but nevertheless, Samuel may be king somewhere around there. But it tells us that the kingdom was rent from his hands. Okay, he was still in position, but he was no longer in power, which is why he began to act like a schizophrenic maniac, trying to kill King David. Oh, I'm trying not to go there, y'all. But I ain't scared of you, so it is what it is. That's why you got to be careful with people who are in position that don't want to give up, don't want to give it up. You got a young man, a young woman who's fit for the job, right for the job, called for the job, anointed for the job. But some of these, you know where I'm going with this, right? Leaders lead. Good leaders attract other leaders, but exceptional leaders know when to step aside. Exceptional leaders know when to step aside. Exceptional leaders build legacies. I said this the other day. We have a lot of people in position, in spiritual positions, might I add, that would rather castrate their sons than to perform the wedding ceremony. In essence, I'll hold this man back and hold him down till his dream dies, his vision dies. He just gives up and gives out. They become stumbling blocks to so many people. And it hurts the whole organization because you still end up losing because you're no longer the man for the job. Saul, it was just a matter of time, and he fought against David and fought against David and fought against David. And all David ever wanted was to honor him. Go figure, huh? I mean, it's sad. It's sad. I hate hearing stories of pastors that pass on, and the church struggles because there was no proper succession in place. They didn't mentor anyone. They tormented someone, but they didn't mentor anybody. I'm about to get in trouble. If my wife was here, she'd kick me underneath the table. If I got any husband and wives out there, you might understand that thing right there. That little. But anyway, and so we've got to be very, very careful. Ain't nothing worse than a power tripping leader. You better say that, girl. I mean, I tell you, woman of God, it's nothing worse. It's nothing worse. And so the Bible tells us that He called the young because they're strong, and the old because they know the way. Y'all like those personal retro sound effects? Okay. And so there must be a meshing. There's got to be a working together between the two. Okay. And it's we got to be careful because we sometimes try to spiritualize everything. But is it a spirit? What is it? Y'all help me understand. We got to work together on this thing. What is it that causes that? What is it that perpetuates that? What is it that I don't know, man. I don't know. And granted, sometimes you know what I think it is. I think it's intimidation. I think that's what it boils down to. You have people who have been in power for a length of time, and they just simply refuse to give it up. And then you have this young, vivacious young man or young lady who, in their eyes, is gunning for their position. Ain't nobody gunning for your position. I mean, good Lord, again, David wasn't gunning for Saul's position. He simply wanted to honor him and serve him. I mean, he would come and he would play, drive evil spirits away. And, David was anointed, and the thing is, and I point this out about David all the time. David, when Samuel went down to Jesse's house, his assignment was to anoint one of Jesse's sons to become. Y'all ain't ready for this. He didn't go down there to anoint one of Jesse's sons to be king. He went down there to anoint one of Jesse's sons to become the next king. So that means there was still originally planned to be a transition that took place. Don't underestimate the power of transition. Quite frankly, every Paul needs a Timothy, and every Timothy needs every Paul needs a Timothy, and every Timothy needs a Paul. The transition is so important. It's just so important. It's definitely a spirit of pride and okay, I can rock with that. Yeah, a spirit of pride. Yep. Yep. I agree with that 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise for this very articulated, smart, anointed woman of God that's watching with us on this morning. It is a spirit of pride and intimidation. You want to know another spirit that's rampant in the land? That's spirit of offense. Yeah, people are so easily offended, but we must be very careful. So he goes down there. He didn't even know which son he was going down there to anoint. God just told him to go, and he would show him. Because when he gets there, Eliab, which is the eldest son of Jesse, he says, "Ooh, surely this is God's anointed." See, it ain't by what you see, ladies and gentlemen. They might look the part, but check their heart. Heart is just ice cold. Our heart is just, we mentioned this last night. I'll mention it again just in case you didn't watch last night Bible study at Upper Praise Ministries. In the book of Acts, chapter number 5, we see the story of Ananias and Sapphira. And Peter asked the question, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Ghost? Yeah. And see, we look at people's externals. We look at their facades. We look at their, their fronts and stuff like that. Anyway, And we look at them and we think that, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But the heart is what we need to watch for, okay? Because some people have allowed Satan to fill their hearts with all kinds of stuff. And that's why we have leaders that will not relinquish the quote unquote throne. You know what? You can stay there all you want to. You're not going to stop God's process. You're not going to stop his progress, you know. And so Saul was he was still, you know, in position, but he had no power. And he should have been helping David with his transition, but he didn't. But he did not. So I want to encourage some young upcoming leader. I want to encourage some upcoming, you know, anointed, powerful, you know, individual who's being fought on every angle. We don't stop. We keep going. Mhm. Their treatment to you and of you does not reflect God's purpose on your life. See it for what it is, a scared little leader that's afraid somebody's going to outdo him. That's what it is. That's what it is. We have got to begin to pick out our successors from early, as early as we can. You know, I get it in some cases, you know, it's not possible. But in your mind, mentally, emotionally, you can be preparing yourself because you ain't gonna last forever. None of us are. You know, we were, you know, I went for my ride the other day, you know, got a little business, you know, and, you know, and like I said, I'm gonna ride my bike, you know, I ride it every single day. And so I plugged up because it was cold. And, but when I got back home, you know, I'm laying in bed trying to get a little rest. And, my left leg, like it was weird, like in my hip joint, you know, both of them, as a matter of fact, you know, it was just kind of sore, you know, and I'm like, good Lord, you know, was it the cold? What was it? But the reality is I ain't getting no younger. And the older you get, you know, I'm saying certain pains are going to pop up and, you know, you're going to have different things that go on. And it's just a reminder that we ain't going to be here forever. You know, so we've got to be ready. Even if there's no one that's capable, we have got to embrace the philosophy. We have got to embrace the reality. We have got to embrace the you know, whatever you want to call it. We've got to embrace the fact that somebody's going to take over. And I've got to be ready to relinquish it when the time comes. If your leadership cannot be questioned, then your leadership is questionable. If you build something or you start something and your plan is to hold on to it forever, you goofed. You goofed. The Bible gives us, what is it? 75, 85 years? I think it's 75, 80 by grace or something like that. It's saying in so many words. So I get it. People are living longer than that, you know. You know, had a aunt that lived to be 100 and some years old. I think 101, 102. And we probably all say, yeah, I've got an aunt, an uncle, somebody. We know someone that lived, you know, 100 years, you know. But the average, you know, normally, you know, we're not living that long. So just by that alone, you understand, okay, let me say this. Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry, right? We founded this, 3 years ago, okay? And if I think that I'm the head honcho, then I've got a problem. I've started it with the wrong heart, okay? Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry will be beyond me. When I'm gone on, I want Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry to still be out there doing its thing. You know, and so I have to, and I am already in the mindset of finding. See, some of y'all want to find new members, but you ain't bad until you want to find new leaders. You ain't bad until you willing to train somebody to take your place, and then accept the fact that they might be better at it than you were. They don't want to hear that when they're C1s. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. But it's the truth. It's the truth. You ought to try your best to teach yourself out of a position. You ought to try your best to empower and pour into people in such a way that they then become better at what you're doing than you are. That's how you ensure longevity of an organization. That's how you do it, you know. So right now, Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry, we are looking into certain things, and we are aware of certain things, and we are praying for certain things, and so I'm looking for that next generation, you know, because when you look around a lot of organizations, and I'll speak specifically to the motorcycle community, right? When you go to a lot of these events, you see a lot of graybeards. And what I mean by that is you see folks that's up in age. You know, is your club going to age out? Do y'all got any young blood up in there? Nah, man, because they too loose, they too hard-headed, well, if they too loose and they too hard-headed, then maybe your approach is not effective. He called the young because they're strong and the old because they know the way. Stop trying to manhandle everybody and everything and impart wisdom. We were talking the other day about knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And it's in that order: knowledge, understanding, and then wisdom, because wisdom is the correct application of knowledge. So if wisdom is the correct application of knowledge, at what point do we learn to apply that knowledge correctly? Once we have proper understanding. That young man is loose because of his upbringing. He's loose because of his way of thinking. He's loose because of the options that he has on the table. And so when you understand that, you can then approach it from a different perspective or from a different light or just a different, you know. And then you can reach that brother and win that brother, and he can become one of the greatest leaders that your organization ever witnessed. But you too scared that you might lose your position. All right, y'all. I've overstayed my time this morning by 2 minutes and 2 seconds, going on 3, 4, 5 seconds. But it certainly went a different way. I love it. I love it. Who was it? BA on the A team said, I love it when a plan comes together. This wasn't a plan, you know, and none of these shows really are. I mean, what you see is what you get, you know. Usually I might get up here and I might have a thought. I might have a direction that I intend to go or would like to go. But ultimately, we have to surrender our will unto the Lord. When you learn that, folks, yeah, you'll be much better off. You know, we got a lot of people, they are sticklers for time. They're sticklers for programs and things like that. And I get it, you know, organization is key, it's necessary. But never organize God out of the situation. Never plan God out of, you say, well, I ain't planning him out of the situation. Well, you ain't got no room on there for him. The Bible says, quench not the spirit. And so that means when the spirit is moving, let him have his way. You know, they out of order. You know, if somebody's being delivered, how are they out of order? If somebody's learning, how are they out of order? I've been in church service that lasts a long time. I mean, come on now, I'm black. I've been, you know, you have been in black church, you know. But anyway, but there have been times in some of them services where it seemed like it was just 20 minutes because such richness was being poured out and was being shared. Even though we were there 2-3 hours, it didn't seem that long, you know. And then you've been in services as 30 minutes and seemed like 3 days, you know, because it was just wonk, 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 wonk. But my point is, when God is moving, let him have his way, you know. But you don't understand, we went over schedule. Well, somebody got touched, somebody was delivered, somebody was healed, somebody was enlightened. And see, we think that deliverance means poof, abracadabra. No, that's not deliverance. I mean, can God do it that way? Yeah, he can, just like that. But sometimes deliverance starts by just truth being revealed. which allows scales to fall from an individual's eyes, which then allows layers to be peeled back, which then, come on, somebody. And so deliverance sometimes is not sudden, sometimes it is a process. And so we hope something was said on this morning that started your process to your deliverance, to your transformation, to your elevation, whatever the case may be, because some of you have stopped. And you might have stopped because of a bad leader. And that's really sad because they're going to be judged. Yeah. If you're a bad leader, you're going to be judged. Thank you, Minister Evans. If you're a bad leader, now I'm not saying that, okay, let me say it this way. Good leaders can sometimes do bad things, but that's not what I'm talking about. Because, my mom used to always tell me there's a weak moment in every strong man's life. Nobody's perfect. But a bad leader, that's, my goodness, their heart is wrong. Okay, maybe I should put it this way and get out y'all's way. There's a difference between shepherds and hirelings. You better watch it. Make sure you don't have a hireling. It's all about the money. It's all about what you can do for them. It's all about them, and theirs. What about you? Do you not understand that if you are a leader, then you have been called to serve the people who you are supposedly leading? You are called to serve them. You're there. In other words, if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be there. Why would God call you? He called you to lead them. So you're only there because of them. Oh gosh, we got to get out of here, man. We got to go. God bless you. I notice I said God bless you, not bless your heart, because when somebody say bless your heart, okay. Anyway, we want to thank you for pressing play and joining the Retro Philosophy Show. As you can see right there, we've got the NC Four Corners. Okay, registration page is up if you are interested in doing it, and if you reside in North Carolina, or elsewhere, but specifically North Carolinians, you got to do this ride. I'm just saying, you got to do this ride. It is an absolute enjoyable ride. It's beautiful. From the beach to the mountains. Take 2 days. Don't try to do it in one day, because you're definitely going to ride through. You're going to have to run it in the nighttime. It's doable in one day, because it's like almost, well, for us, we left Charlotte and we had to go to Wilmington. So total, it was a little over 1,300 miles. Okay, depending on where you're from, will determine what the total will be for you. But for us, for me anyway, 1,300 miles is definitely doable. In one day, it's doable. But you would really have to press and just, so I certainly recommend taking 2 days to do it. As I said, the information is on the Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry Facebook page. And if you're watching on YouTube and you don't, have Facebook, you can call or text the number that's scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Or you can email me at retrophilosophy.75@gmail.com. You can also email kingdomalignment.mm@gmail.com. And we will forward you the link for the registration. And the registration is just real simple. We just need to know a little bit of information, what kind of motorcycle you're riding, when you plan on doing it, how many are going to be in the group, things like that. Okay. You fill out the registration. You will receive a notice that your registration has been received. And at the completion of the trip, you will receive the patch. Now, where am I? Okay. Yeah. So my thing is a little bit reversed here. So this here, is what the patch is going to look like. Okay, it will be a 3-inch patch. You can put it on your vest. You can put it with the rest of your collected patches, whatever you want to do with it. I've got a helmet that I got a couple patches on, so I'm thinking about making a patch helmet. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's a 3-inch patch. That's the colors it's going to be, and so you will receive that patch. along with a few other thank you items for joining and supporting Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry in this endeavor to encourage folks to get out and ride the state of North Carolina. Um, let's see here. What else do you need to know? All the information, the rules are on that registration page. It is, again, Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry Facebook group, and it's under the featured link at the top. You just click on there, and this is about the third one down. And yeah, the corners of North Carolina, you can see the stars there. You have Wilmington, you have Kitty Hawk, Sparta, and then Murphy, North Carolina. Okay. And you do not have to do it the same route that we did it, but you do have to hit those four towns. Okay. When we, let's see here, I think we took, I forget what it was, but anyway, when we got to Sparta on the way to Murphy, we took back roads to get there, and it was absolutely beautiful. I mean to tell you, it was beautiful. By the time we got to Murphy, it was night, and again, I would recommend riding that portion, Sparta and Murphy. I would definitely recommend that part during the day. Shout out to Street Soldiers. They're going to be taking off on the 4th of this month. They moved their date up. They've got a few brothers that are going to be doing that. And so we are certainly appreciative of their support, and we're looking forward to your support. Talked to several people that says, man, oh, as a matter of fact, TBM, True Black Men Motorcycle Club out of Lexington, North Carolina, they're on deck. They're going to be doing it as well. And some of you other brothers, man, I'm waiting to hear from you, man. Look at here. I need to see your registration. This is a patch that you need to have. Okay. I know you got some other patches that are way cooler, but this is cool still. All right. Four Corners of North Carolina. It's a fun ride, and it is an absolute beautiful ride. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Yo, hold on one quick second. All right. That's my little son there. My big son, my son. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. What was that, y'all? Sorry about that. I apologize. I should have threw in a quick commercial break. But it's a beautiful ride. It's a beautiful ride, man, and you will definitely enjoy it. We've got Georgia on deck. We're going to do the GA Four Corners, and so there will be a patch available for that one as well. Florida, whew, man, Florida's going to be a big one. That's going to be a big one, man. But we got that on deck as well. Virginia, you might have to wait until y'all be getting them threat of snow and stuff like that. So we'll play that by ear in terms of how soon we get up there. But Virginia, it's right up the road from us, man. So we're gonna knock out all of the surrounding areas of North Carolina. We're gonna knock out, and as I said, Florida is on the list as well. Okay. So if you are watching this and you said, that's pretty cool, Retro, thank you first and foremost. And we appreciate in advance the support that you give us. And if I did not mention your state, holla at me. We'll go ahead and add yours to the list as well. We can set up the registration for your state, even if you are halfway across the country. If we get enough people to register initially, then we'll speed it up. In other words, whichever states bring in the most inquiries or whatever, will potentially speed it up on the list in terms of when we do it. I don't mind riding over to Timbuktu and ride your Four Corners. You just got to let me know you want us to do it, and we'll get out there and do it. Now, it is my personal endeavor and goal to collect as many states as possible. I know a lot of people do the 48. Some have done it in less than 10 days, and that's commendable, and I may do that one day as well. But my thing is I'm going to collect as many Four Corner states as I can. And we'll see how long it takes me to do them all. And one day we will have done them all. But until then, we're just going to keep going at our speed. And yes, there are others. The IBA, I believe they have a patch if you do Four Corners. But they're not Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry. They don't pray for you like we do. So we want your support in return. So keep that in mind, okay? I think it's great when we can support our own from time to time. So yeah, there are others that have it and do it, but we're doing it this way, and we say thank you in advance for your support. Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry, shout out to you on this morning. Good group of folks, man. And by God's grace, we're seeing a little bit of growth too. So stay tuned to the edition of Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry family. It's your boy Retro, man. I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank you guys for pressing play. I want to thank God for all of your support and prayers. It's definitely a beautiful thing, okay? So let's see. You know what? I can't do this. Let me do this before I leave. Bada boom, bada bang. Iron Elite, folks. This is an event that is worth supporting. I mean, I've gone, I think, maybe 3 years straight. I think this year might make my 4th year. I believe it is. And it continues to grow, number one. But it's not about the numbers for me, It's about number one, it's about the fact that it's about the consistency. I haven't gone 1 year and it was great, and another year was horrible, and another year was, It's just, there's consistency in this event. It's a positive event. It's not about the patches on your back, even though there's a lot of patches roaming around there. It's about motorcycling. It's about family, believe it or not. And it's about honoring and paying tribute to Black history. Yeah, because we have contributed a lot to this whole sport of motorcycling. When you look at these CVOs that Harley Davidson puts out, don't get it twisted. A lot of them are inspired by what we as a people have done, how we have customized our, because when you look at when you look at the stats, when you look at the numbers, and this is it just is what it is. A lot of us, not me, because I ain't got that kind of money, but a lot of these dudes, they will buy a $30,000 motorcycle and spend another 30, 40, 50 grand on it before it even leaves the showroom floor. They're upgrading motors, they're upgrading wheels, they're upgrading handlebars, they're upgrading the music on it, and so Harley has seen this, and then they begin to introduce their CVO models, and different things like that. So don't get it twisted. We have contributed a lot to the sport of motorcycling, even the production side of things. You know how we do. We get cars, we get motorcycles, we got to throw bigger wheels on it than the factory sent it with. And so, the CVOs come with bigger wheels traditionally, And so the Iron Elite is a great, not just event, but it is a movement. Then you have the fact that there is a Titan Award that's given out. Shout out to Shaquilla Bussey and Gorilla Blue. They are the 2024 Titan Award recipients, and so this is an event, ladies and gentlemen, that if you ride, you should be there, and you should. But even if you don't ride, you should be there, because you will be amazed at the turnout, and it's just so much love walking around the property there at Adamak Harley Davidson. Shout out to Adamak Harley Davidson for housing this event every year as well. So if you have not already, make sure you go over there and check out Big Sarge. You can also check him up on YouTube as well. He is now doing a podcast as well. He is also the organizer of the Coast to Coast Run, I-10 to the End, the social experiment, each one teach one. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what we should be doing. We should endeavor to teach. If you do something well, teach, share it with that upcoming little G. It might. Okay, we'll leave it alone. All right, man. I'm out of here, man. Just definitely want to shout that out. This is an event that we do every year. Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry. We try to get everybody on the team to get down there, because they won't come back home the same way. It's going to affect you in a good way. It'll make you a better motorcycler, and you're definitely going to meet and greet some good people while you're down there. So shout out to Mr. Houston on that endeavor there, man. He's doing a good job with it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Retro, man. I'm going to get out y'all's here, man. Leave.
Let's go. It's the Retro Philosophy Show.
know?
You know, let's go. Tell them already we're good, tell them again, them again. Tell them already we're good, tell them again, them again. Conquerors, we're more than conquerors. Wow, wow. Tell them already we are good, tell them again. Tell them already we are good, tell them again. We are conquerors. Wow, wow. More than conquerors. Wow,
Retro.
wow. Tell them already we are good.
Motivation is the activation that keeps you going between your imagination so you can arrive at your destination in spite of what you go through without any explanation.
Wow.
You just keep on going. You never let it turn you around. You will never allow it to stop you.
Yeah.
Y'all make sure y'all check out the Retro Philosophy Show on YouTube with my man Retro. Like, subscribe, comment, share, copy the link, put it on Instagram in your bio, put it on your Facebook page. Send it to your mama, text it to somebody. But y'all make sure y'all follow this page.